The coffee had gone cold long before she said it. Her voice was calm, too calm, like someone reading a line they'd rehearsed. I don't want to be with you anymore. For a moment, the words didn't make sense. They hung in the air, sharp and deliberate, slicing through the quiet hum of our apartment. I remember staring at the chipped rim of her mug, the way her fingers traced its edge without trembling. Mine did. Then don't expect my support, I said before I even knew I'd spoken. It wasn't anger, not yet. It was something darker. Self-defense wearing the mask of dignity. She blinked, as if surprised that I didn't plead. Then she smiled faintly. I didn't. We'd been together 7 years. Long enough to know each other's habits, fears, and the subtle codes behind silence. But in the last few months, something had changed. She'd started working late. Her phone lived face down on the table. The scent of another cologne clung faintly to her jacket once. When I mentioned it, she laughed, said she hugged her colleague goodbye after a project wrap-up. I wanted to believe her. God, I did. You don't stop trusting someone overnight. You let it erode slowly, grain by grain, until one day you realize you're standing on sand and everything beneath you is collapsing. The night she told me, rain drummed against the windows. The room smelled like damp wood and distance. She didn't cry. I did, but quietly, like a man trying to keep his pride stitched together. What happened, Emma? I asked. Is it me? She hesitated. It's not you, Daniel. I need space. To find myself. That phrase, find myself, felt like an insult disguised as poetry. I'd heard it before, from people who already knew exactly where they wanted to be. Just not with you. Days turned into weeks. She moved out. The apartment became a museum of her absence. Her coffee mug still by the sink, her sweater draped over the chair. I kept telling myself it was temporary. That she'd realize what she'd lost. Then I saw her. It was a Friday evening, the kind of dusk that paints the city in bruised gold. I was driving home when I spotted her at the corner cafe. She wasn't alone. A man sat across from her, tall, sharp suit, his hand grazing hers in a way that felt too familiar. My chest tightened, not from surprise but from confirmation. I didn't confront them. I just watched, long enough to see her laugh, a soft, unguarded laugh I hadn't heard in months. That night I couldn't sleep. The image replayed, looping endlessly. I'd supported her dreams, paid half her tuition when she went back to school, covered rent when she needed time off to reset. And all that time I'd been funding her emotional getaway. I checked her social media, a habit I'd once mocked others for. New post. Smiling in places she'd told me she hated. The captions full of light metaphors about freedom and new beginnings. Every photo had the same reflection in her sunglasses. A man with short dark hair. I didn't tell anyone. I just withdrew. At work, my colleagues asked if I was okay. I said I was fine because it's easier to lie than to explain heartbreak you didn't choose. Then one evening, 2 months after she left, she called. Her name flashing on my screen twisted something in me. I hesitated, then answered. Hey, she said, voice soft. Can we meet? Almost said no. Almost. But curiosity, the cruel twin of love, won. We met at the same cafe where I'd seen her before. She looked different, lighter, confident. I noticed she wore a silver bracelet I hadn't seen before. Probably a gift from him. I shouldn't have just disappeared, she said. You didn't deserve that. I waited, saying nothing. I've been seeing someone, she admitted finally. It started when we were still together, but I didn't know how to end things without hurting you. The honesty cut deeper than the betrayal. Because now I could see it all. The late nights, the distant smiles, the way she'd stopped reaching for me in bed. You didn't want to hurt me, I said quietly. You just didn't want to feel guilty. She looked down, tears forming. I'm sorry, Daniel. I laughed. Not bitterly, just hollowly. No, you're relieved. That's not sorry. After that, something inside me shifted. The pain didn't fade, it crystallized. Became clarity. I started pulling away from everything that reminded me of her. The music she loved, the routes we walked, the dishes we cooked together. I deleted her number, blocked her on social media. But healing isn't linear. Some nights, I'd still wake up expecting her beside me. Other nights, I'd draft texts I'd never send. Lines like "I miss you, why wasn't I enough, do you ever think of me?" I never sent them. I learned that closure doesn't come from confrontation. It comes from silence. Then months later she reached out again. This time through email. Her tone was different, colder, practical. She'd written, "I'm in a tough spot financially. I know you said you didn't want to talk, but I was hoping you could help me just this once. I'll pay you back." I stared at the screen, rereading the words until they blurred. The same person who said she didn't want to be with me, who traded my love for someone else's excitement, now wanted my support. My reply was short. "You made your choice, Emma. Made mine. Take care." I hovered over send for a moment, then clicked. No anger. No dramatics. Just finality. Weeks later, I heard through a mutual friend that the man she left me for had moved abroad. Alone. She'd quit her job. Things hadn't worked out the way she'd hoped. I should have felt vindicated, but I didn't. Because betrayal doesn't end with justice. It ends with exhaustion. One night, sitting on the balcony, I finally let myself feel it all. The ache, the loss, the grief for a version of us that no longer existed. I realized I wasn't mourning her. I was mourning the man I was when I still believed love was enough. It's been almost a year now. I've rebuilt parts of myself, piece by piece. Sometimes when it rains, I think about that night. Her voice steady, her eyes dry. "I don't want to be with you." And my reply, sharper than I intended. "Then don't expect my support." At the time it sounded cruel. But now I see it for what it was. Not cruelty but closure. Because love doesn't end when someone walks away. It ends when you finally stop waiting for them to turn back.